Well, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. My name is Teresa Abbott. I'm one of the admissions counselors at Rensselaer that works on female outreach. And many of you have probably seen myself or Lauren Souter, who's also in here from the admissions office, in some of the webinars that we've hosted earlier this month. I know we've been doing quite a few to help you explore and connect with women in STEM at Rensselaer. We have a great presentation ready for you tonight. I'm going to start by sharing my screen. And we will go ahead and get started. I do want to let everyone know that we are recording this. So feel free, if you'd like to broadcast your video and unmute yourself at the end when it comes time for Q&A. We want this to definitely be very discussion oriented, but if you feel more comfortable just typing in the chat box, you're more than welcome to do that as well. We're going to start off today with a quick video. If you've attended some of our other webinars, you may have seen it, but we've really been trying to show the different opportunities that are available for women in STEM at Rensselaer. And this one video that one of our student ambassadors created this year for Women's History Month really is a great way to kind of see some of the different opportunities that Rensselaer has available for students while they're attending. So we'll start off with that, and then we have two of our amazing alums here to kind of talk about their experience. We've shared a lot over the past few weeks about all of the different resources that are on campus, but this is a great way to kind of see what you do when you graduate from Rensselaer, a great way to see how all of those resources that Rensselaer has for you and support systems on campus, how it really manifests when you graduate from Rensselaer and helps you when you are in the workforce. So we'll go ahead and get started with this video real quick.
Hi everyone, my name is Audrey Santinato. I'm studying mechanical engineering at RPI and I'm getting a minor in computer science. I'm a senior here currently and I'm from originally Hanover, Massachusetts.
Hi, my name is Dia Shah. I'm a sophomore biology major and I'm pursuing a minor in strategic communication. I'm from Long Island, New York.
Hi everyone, my name is Kaylin Edwards. I'm a senior here at Rensselaer majoring in biology and I'm from Southern Pines, North Carolina.
My name is Grace and I earned my BS in chemical engineering in May, and I'm currently part of the co-terminal program at RPI and I'm pursuing my master's in mechanical engineering. I'm from Hopewell Junction, New York, so about an hour and a half south of RPI.
Hi everyone, my name is Michaela Gray and I'm a junior electrical engineer minoring in sustainabilities here at RPI. I'm from Middletown, New York.
One of my favorite spots to grab food in downtown Troy is definitely Mannery's.
I'd have to say Whistling Kettle.
Panera Bread in our student union.
When it comes to brunch, I would say at Bar H. Their brunch is so good. It's one of our dining halls on campus.
Our Women's at Rensselaer mentoring program is designed for all of our incoming first-year females on campus. Typically, you'll get paired up by major, interest, clubs and activities, or even from your hometown. And this is a great way to kind of have a mentor from a female perspective in such a male-dominated STEM field, especially your first couple semesters here on campus.
The Society of Women Engineers is a not-for-profit educational and service organization that empowers women to succeed and advance in the field of engineering. From meeting new friends to networking with companies and even attending national conferences, SWE is an organization that has supported me through my college career as a woman in STEM.
I would say that joining Greek Life was one of the best decisions I made because it's such a strong support system of people who are honestly just there for you no matter what. It's just an amazing way to not only be involved on campus, meet new people, but also it's a very eye-opening thing to like all that there is in the world.
At RPI, women have the opportunity to participate in sports at any level. There are varsity sports, we have club sports, as well as intramurals, so there's something for everybody at RPI, and it's a great way to find other women that have similar interests and passions for the same thing that you do.
A piece of advice I'd give to any incoming freshman is honestly just to ask for help often and early.
I'd say the hardest part for me my freshman year was figuring out what I wanted to get involved in.
The biggest piece of advice for freshmen is to not worry about picking your dream school.
It's really important to use all the help that's around you.
And so, as you can see, there are many opportunities to connect with women who have the same background and interest areas as you do. These resources that we have listed on this slide are just a few of the resources that are available at Rensselaer. These are the ones that we've kind of highlighted over the last few months, but there are definitely tons of opportunities for you to get connected with other women who have the same background and interest areas as you do. So now I really want to turn it over to what we came here to talk about today. We're going to start with Annabelle Mendes, who is an alum of Rensselaer, who's going to be able to talk a little bit about her experience at Rensselaer and then what she's done once she graduated from Rensselaer, and really how her education at Rensselaer and what she was involved in really prepared her for the future and her future career goals. So I'll turn it over to Annabelle.
Okay. When the whole pandemic started, I was like, where's the mute button? Every meeting. Now I'm like so much faster because this is like a daily occurrence this day and age. So first of all, thank you, Teresa, for inviting me to be part of the conversation today. I love sharing like my story, and every time I talk to the new students that are coming in or thinking about coming in, it really energizes me and it makes me go back and put things in perspective. So every time I'm like at a Rensselaer or presentation or whatnot, I'm always looking at that little phrase of why not change the world? And I wake up and I tell myself every day, I'm like, what are you doing to change the world? What are you doing to change the world? And I would say that's one, probably as the years have gone by, because I finished in December of 2002. So this was many, many years ago. And I can't believe it, but it's probably the thing that has stuck with me the most over the years of, I don't just show up for a job, but I'm always really, truly trying to figure out how to make the world a better place. And a lot of that just comes from the foundation that I got at RPI. So when I was there, I studied, I actually created my own curriculum. It was this thing, mechanical engineering and psychology. This was before it was fashionable to kind of mix up careers. And it was one of the key things that helped me get my first job, because at the time, the whole concept of right brain, left brain, combining a very technical degree with a liberal arts degree was not something that existed, but it was something that was always supported by my advisors at RPI. And I think that was kind of breakthrough and revolutionary. When I went to my interview, the person that was interviewing me was like, wow, like we've been searching for this, like you exist. It's like a unicorn kind of deal. So I think that definitely gave me like an edge. I'm originally from Miami, Florida. So I would say from anyone who is in a very, very warm climate, considering moving up to Troy, New York, yes, it is a huge, huge difference in everything. I didn't even know how to put on a coat or a scarf, but luckily I had a roommate that was from Michigan, and she would bundle me up real good at the beginning of I had never seen snow before I saw snow for the first time at RPI. And it was a magical moment. I was walking through the middle of campus and I felt a little snowflake fall. And I was like, oh, and you should, I'm sure everybody was like moving around me, but I was just standing there and I was like, oh my God, it was just before Thanksgiving break. So I definitely have a lot of very fond memories. That's a picture of my mom and me. My mom is definitely my role model, and I just kind of wanted to show her there. Anyways, we could go on to the next slide. Oh, and then I have an MBA from Xavier University in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I'll let you know how I end up in Cincinnati, Ohio. So here, like, why RPI? So when I was looking at schools, I applied to 7 different schools. And basically how I narrowed it down was, at the time, I really was very focused in materials and I wanted to understand materials more. And RPI was one of the few schools in 2002 that was actually offering that degree. So I felt like that was very cutting edge of RPI. A lot of times what you'll find is that RPI is really on top of what are the future careers that are coming on, not just what's being offered today, but what's going to be in demand a few years down the road. I also love the approach of learn by doing. So when I went to visit when I went to do my campus visit, there was a lot of emphasis on labs and machine shops and all these other things that I felt like they would be better worth my while than just sitting through a lecture. I put niceness matters because I also went to visit another school that was very prestigious and technical. And I remember when I told my high school counselor, I'm like, I'm picking RPI. And they were like, why don't you go to this other one? Because the ranks matter to school counselors. But when I visited, I just felt like RPI people were just nicer. I think that they were very smart, but there was also a more relaxed kind of atmosphere versus the other school that I went to where everybody were like these little robots and they wouldn't sleep because they had to study. And that was just not my personality. I always was in bed by 10 p.m. at RPI, but I was also the kind of person who would take 8 o'clock classes. And then, like I mentioned, the flexible degree paths, that was very important to me because if you're not conventional and you don't want to fit into a specific path, there's so many different routes that you can take. And I feel like the university has always supported that. And I would go into my advisor and I was like, so I want to take this class and this class. And oh, by the way, I want to finish in 3.5 years. And they were like, okay, have at it. And nobody ever stopped me. And so I always felt that support. And I get a lot of questions because I do represent RPI at some college fairs. And I always get questions where people are like, well, I'm not exactly sure what I want to study. And what I tell people is like, just as long as you finish what you start, but life evolves over time. So I want to cover that next. If you go to the next slide. Just very briefly, because I know that Mackenzie's going to cover more modern stuff on here. But when I was there, I really participated heavily in the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. And I think that's important because as a minority woman and minority Latina, there was very, very, very few of us, but I never felt like I didn't belong. And I think that's important, that at RPI, like, I had a feeling, you know, I always felt like I belonged, even though it was like maybe one tiny group or other types of groups. So I was important. I also joined the outdoors club at the insistence of my roommate. And I did a bunch of stuff that I had never done before. Some stuff I'll never do again, like doing that spelunking thing. We went in a hole in the ground. Water was up to our chest. It was freezing. There was chunks of ice. You couldn't see anything. It was absolutely dark. There was a dead deer in the thing. I mean, it was right out of a movie. But I did it. It was great. I come from a big city. It was a really different experience for me. So there is a lot of stuff if you're willing to go out of your comfort zone. At least I have really fun stories to tell my kids. And then, surprisingly enough, I ended up in student government again because I had a roommate that was super outgoing and she would volunteer for everything. And that year, the secretary of student government had quit, and that was an elected position. But because they needed somebody right away, and I was willing to step up to do it, I got the spot. So I was the secretary for student government in my first year. In the next slide. Can you change? No? Oh, there. Okay, so this, I feel like it's one of the most important life-changing aspects of being part or having chosen RPI. Internships and scholarships. These were very, very key. So when I was a freshman, there was a scholarship that you could get with the Ford Motor Company. And that scholarship, I believe it was about $25,000 and 2 guaranteed summer internships in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And that was a definitive moment because one, it was the first time that they gave that scholarship to a freshman. And when I saw the posting of the scholarship back then, they used to print stuff out and stick it in a bulletin board. I don't know if that still happens. Maybe it does. But I saw it and I was like, I'm going to apply to this thing. And I didn't know that like these things usually went to juniors and seniors. I didn't know any of that stuff. I was just kind of like, why not me? And I went and I did my interview and they gave me the scholarship. And when I got there were probably, I want to say about 500 interns from around the country that were interning that summer. and I was the only freshman there. But you know what? Like, just do it. Like, even if they tell you like, oh, you don't qualify, ask, why not? I mean, sometimes these scholarships and these internships, they don't have any set requirement that says if you're a freshman, you cannot participate. Some of them do, so let me not go there. But in this case, it just paid off to go for it. And then the fall, so that was my first 2 summers, the summer after my sophomore year and the summer after my, no, actually after freshman year and after sophomore year. And then my last summer, I interned at the Procter & Gamble company, and I also won a scholarship from them, unrelated to the internship, of you had to write this essay about something. It was $2,000, and I was like, why not? I sat down on a Saturday and I wrote this essay, and boom, I got another scholarship. And I couldn't list some of these other ones, but I was like, oh, scholarship. And this was after I had already started college. So if you are also in this, maybe there's still a gap in financial aid or a gap in how much things are going to cost, just know that there's still scholarships available. Once you get to RPI, it's only a matter of going to, I think they're like the Career Center, and I don't remember what other organization had them. Maybe Teresa, you can share a little bit about that later on, where else can you go and get some help to find additional scholarships. But those two were, I found out about them through RPI. So it wasn't, I had to go somewhere different for that. I loved my summer in, so that was in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we used to live in the Xavier dorms. Again, another amazing experience. And then I started full-time in December of 2002 with P&G, which is a fantastic, fantastic company. I had 12 amazing years at P&G doing a variety of things. And I think that's on the next slide. So I actually started my career in material development. I was a material developer in R&D for Pampers. So I used to work on the mechanical fastening system, AKA Velcro. And then after that, while I was at P&G, that's where I earned my MBA from Xavier. And I switched over, you would call it, to the dark side if you ask our R&D people. But I switched over to marketing, and I was doing brand management for CoverGirl, Olay, and The Art of Shaving. At this point, I had been living in Cincinnati, Ohio, but I wanted to get back home to Miami, Florida. So I came down here on an assignment for The Art of Shaving because they're based out of Miami. And then when that assignment was done and I had to rotate and move to another city, that's where I decided to leave P&G for personal reasons. And I couldn't imagine working for any other company that was as amazing as they were and how supportive they were when I had my 2 kids. They had amazing maternity leave benefits, etc. So then in the next slide, I remember how I was like, I like to do so many things and I couldn't decide on one career. So I'm like, I'll have all these. When I left P&G, I decided that I was going to go off on my own and become a business owner. So I started Market Tides LLC, and I started it as a marketing agency. So I was a marketing agency from 2014 to 2017. And I was doing a lot of stuff on digital marketing, advertising, e-commerce, websites, etc. But I also really, really missed the technical aspect of what I wanted to do. And that's when I started developing products. And I launched my first brand, which was actually WorkV. I launched that in 2017. And then in 2018, I launched the second brand, which was the Aroma Leaf. And these were pain relief creams. And what happened at the time was that my mom, she used to work as a hairdresser and she couldn't extend her arm when she retired. And I'm like, I have to do something. I have to solve her problem. And so I started working with a chemist and we developed the formula for WorkV. And then I was like, oh, you know, most of these things smell really terrible. And then I launched Aroma Leaf, which is a line that combines aromatherapy with pain relief ingredients. But a lot of this know-how and knowledge that I use today really comes from the beginning of my time at RPI, that I was able to, I was never limited to what I could learn and what I could do. And the ability of combining a lot of the very technical know-how with consumer understanding, the psychology of why people buy what they buy, and always delivering to the customer. And I've kind of carried that throughout, and that's what I get to do now. So I run these two brands. These are actually the screenshots of our storefronts that we have on e-commerce. I have a team that we work with. We continue to grow year after year. And the most satisfying part of this phase of my career is when I get emails or I read reviews from people that have been living in pain for many years. There was a lady, she was in chemotherapy and she had neuropathy pain, which is basically affects the nerves, the chemotherapy does, and how this is the only product that has ever, that has worked for her. And she ran a marathon, a virtual marathon recently. So that's kind of what I'm most proud of. And I hope, and always striving to be able to answer the question of how am I changing the world for the better through the work that I've done in my career and the work that I'm doing now. And I think that's it. I hope that's it, because I talk a lot. Yeah, thank you.
Hi guys, I'm Mackenzie. That's really hard to follow, Annabelle. That is so exciting. It makes me excited too. I'm only a year out. I graduated in May 2020. So during the pandemic and less than a year ago, but I'm so excited to start my career and get to a spot where I can also kind of answer that question, how am I changing the world right now? I'm trying and starting off small, but I'm really excited to get to that point as well. Well, again, hi everyone, my name's Mackenzie. Again, I'm a May 2020 grad, so fresh out of the kind of pandemic graduates of last year. So I really had a unique kind of closing experience to my college career through the virtual world and kind of getting adjusted to life at home and school online. So excited to kind of answer those questions for you guys as well. And it feels like forever ago, but really was less than a year when I graduated. I was an industrial management engineering major. I also minored in psychology. To Annabelle's point, it is one of RPI's greatest strengths, I think, just being able to kind of combine those soft skills with those technical skills. The first thing when it comes to mind as a technical school is just kind of that STEM background, but so many of our students have such a good basis in psychology or social sciences and all of those soft skills, which really make you such a well-rounded student. So yeah, I'm also from Poughkeepsie, New York. Right now I live in Boston, and I'll kind of go through how I got here. Awesome. And just to kind of cover, I am an industrial systems engineer, as I said, and not everyone knows what IMEs or industrial management engineers kind of do. So I wanted to share this slide to kind of go over both why I chose this major and what it's all about. So just put the kind of the blurb at the top to explain, but what I like to kind of explain to people and what an IME actually does is if you take a mechanical engineer like Annabelle, who is doing a lot of hands-on work, maybe they're working on a machine and they're working every day hands-on to kind of fix or solve a problem. IMEs, on the other hand, don't maybe have that tangible physical aspect to it, but instead they're looking at a factory design or at a business model, and theirs is a little less hands-on, but it's that high-level thinking of how can we fix this problem, how can we make something more efficient, and they kind of span all industries, which is really cool. So I knew coming into school that I wanted to make sure that whatever I went into was super flexible because I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up yet. I just knew I wanted to solve problems. So for me, industrial engineering was a great fit. The IME department is a little bit smaller than the typical departments. I graduated in a class of about 40. We started out with 8 of us my freshman year. So from my freshman year class of 8, we grew more and more. Once people started learning what IMEs do, I think we gained a few along the way, but it was a really, really great network of students. Being a smaller department, we had more one-on-one time with our professors, with our advisors, with different mentors. So I really took advantage of that and loved all of my classes I was in. I was in a class my senior year with 5 other people. And to be in a class of 5 people, once you get to college, you'll kind of realize how special that is. And just getting that one-on-one time with these professors who are doing amazing research is such a great privilege. So I could talk about IME all day, but we'll kind of move on to the next slide. I'll share a little bit more about what I was involved with in school. So first off, and one of my favorite parts of RPI, I was an admissions ambassador. So doing panels and things like this used to be in person, but got to do a few virtual ones at the end of last year as well. I loved getting to meet incoming students and sharing my own experience and getting people excited about what RPI had to offer. I was also in Greek life. I joined my freshman year. Again, I think you saw in the video we played at the beginning, some people were talking about Greek life and just what a great support system it is. RPI does have a higher ratio of males to females, but it really doesn't feel that way if you kind of set yourself up for success and surround yourself with strong women who are going to just propel you through your 4 years there. Also part of SWE, the Society of Women Engineers, and this was a really great experience to get to know women in a professional setting. So we'd have different companies actually come every so often to RPI, and they would do different info sessions. So we get to learn about companies from industry from females who graduated from RPI as well. We also did outreach programs. I was a part of the outreach committee, and we went to local schools and we did STEM presentations and got kids from anywhere to preschool to high school interested in STEM. It's also part of the Women's Mentor Program. I joined the Women's Mentor Program coming in as a freshman. And basically a high-level overview of that program is you can apply to be a mentee, so to have a mentor your freshman year coming in, and you're assigned someone who's an upperclassman at RPI, and they're kind of paired with you over the summer coming into your freshman year. So it was a great opportunity. I got to text my mentor. I asked like what textbook I should get for a certain class if there was an option. I kind of asked about the best dorm to choose, and you just get to kind of ask about anything and everything. And it's just a really nice kind of person to go to for any of those random questions when you don't really know who to ask. And then along with that, once you actually come onto campus, I met my mentee. She was amazing. She gave me like a ton of the textbooks I needed. It was just great to kind of have that person there for you as soon as you step on campus and have a familiar face right off the bat. Also part of the iPerson's mentoring program, a lot of different mentorships I really kind of set myself up around, but they were also so impactful. This one was around your freshman level classes. So your first semester, you'll be set up with an iPerson's mentor if you're taking calculus 1, physics 1, or chemistry 1. And that's just a once a week meeting with a student, either sophomore to senior level. And it's not exactly a TA or a teaching assistant. It's a little more informal. So again, just a really casual mentor to go to. They're obviously there set up for those 3 specific classes, but if you have any questions outside of that, you meet for an hour a week, and it's kind of a ask all time to go over anything curriculum related or kind of just freshman year experience related. And finally, I was also part of the club volleyball team. I actually joined the club volleyball team because of my women's mentee, who I met in something like this. She was president of the Women's Mentor Program at the time, so she was on one of these admissions panels. I reached out to her after, and she was actually from my hometown, played club volleyball at the same place I did in high school, just a few years older. And so we actually met, we got coffee before I came to RPI. I originally applied as a biomedical engineer, but when I met Kristen, who was my future mentee, she told me all about how amazing IME was. She was also an industrial management engineer. And that's when I sent the email to admissions. I said, I think I want to change my major. Before I came onto campus, I said, I think this sounds like it's for me. And so within that, she was a great connection I had between both volleyball, between the Women's Mentor Program, and as a lifelong friend, we still chat every so often. So it was really great to have that connection as well. All right, I think you're ready for the next slide. Alrighty, and now on to my co-op and internship experiences. During my time at RPI, I was involved with a co-op, which is just basically a longer internship. So if an internship is like 3 months over the summer, a co-op spans over both a semester in school. So I took off my spring semester, my sophomore year, to go to Rhode Island. Lived in Rhode Island for 6 months and worked at Hasbro on the Star Wars design and development team. It was the most fun experience. I literally played with toys all day and tested them, but it felt more like fun playing with them. And I got to work with some really amazing engineers there. Had just such an amazing experience. And that's just one thing I'm so excited for going forward. So the co-op I found a sophomore year wasn't really kind of traditional track for students at that time. It was before the summer arts program came into play. So now in the summer arts program, RPI has kind of formulated it so they're carving out a semester for you to be able to go on an opportunity longer than just a summer internship. And it was just a lot more impactful for me just because when you're there over the summer, it feels like the 3 months that you're kind of working at a company is just you getting adjusted. And then by the end, you feel like you've just kind of nailed what you're doing and you understand, you feel comfortable, but then it's time to go back to school. But with a co-op, you have those 3 months, and then you have 3 more months to kind of spend and really integrate yourself in with companies. So many job offers come out of co-ops and internships, and it's just such a great partnership through the career fair and getting to meet these people face to face, and then going off with these experiences. The summer arts program is just so exciting for you guys now that you guys get to participate in that, and then you'll kind of make your 3.5 years a lot more feasible. So what I did is I still graduated within the same 4-year time frame, even though I took a semester off. So my last year, Teresa and Lauren can probably tell you, I was very busy trying to make up my final semester of classes, 2 squished into 1 semester. So the summer arts program really sets you up for success to make sure that you have everything timed out correctly. And then my summer after my junior year, I interned at Deloitte Consulting. I was a business tech analyst in the Boston area. And this was such a great internship, consulting for tech companies all over. I was in Orlando, Florida for a month. I also spent a few weeks in Kansas City, in Missouri, and doing a lot of different things that I can't discuss the specific details of, but what I can say is it's, again, that whole mindset of why not change the world. You're enabling companies to create new innovative products, and it's just like, and it's such an incredible experience. Obviously right now it's a little more virtual, so I did accept my full-time offer after that summer, and I'm now back in the Boston office. I am working from my my home office, my little 3-bedroom apartment in Cambridge, Massachusetts, but hoping to travel soon again, maybe the end of this year or next. But just such a great opportunity. And also another plug to SHEP especially. So Annabelle is a part of Society for Hispanic Engineers. They are the group, along with NSBE, that actually planned the entire RPI Fall Career Fair, which has around 200 companies come every single year. It's totally student run, and that's where I got both of my co-op and internship opportunities and my full-time job. So it's really RPI students that are helping each other get to this point. And I would not have gotten the opportunities I did without those organizations. So grateful. And yeah, it just shows you kind of what RPI kids can do when they set their minds to it. Alrighty, I think that was the last slide for me.
Thank you so much, Mackenzie and Annabelle. What great and marvelous stories from the two of you. And, you know, one from a little bit ago and one very recent. So how appropriate to see, you know, where our fabulous people end up. But we'll go through some questions now. We received just a few. Some of them have been answered, so I might jump around. But I guess the first one, we touched on it a little bit, but what do you think is important to do at RPI in order to get ahead? We've kind of mentioned, you know, be that go-getter, be the first one to apply for the scholarships and things like that. But anything else at RPI that Annabelle or Mackenzie that you would recommend students do?
The Career Center, is that still around? Yes, now it's the Arch Center, right?
Yes, we have the Center for Career and Professional Development. Yep.
Yeah, so that was key. I would say some of the key benefits that I took advantage of were preparing for interviews. Doing those mock interviews is super important because you just go in with such confidence, right? You've already gone through this. You've already gotten grilled by other people because for as much as you think you have it in your head, once you practice it out, that's when you really can work out the kinks. They also review your resume. Like Mackenzie said, take advantage of the career fairs that they have. I got both. Well, the first one was through the internship, but the second one was at one of the SHEP conferences that I went with the RPI group. And to join SHEP and NSBE, anybody can join. Absolutely anybody can join. And they also help you to prepare for these interviews. So I would say those were definitely key because companies really love to hire students that already have some prior work experience.
Yeah, and my go-to tip, again, to plug the RPI Career Fair is even if you don't think you're looking for an internship after your freshman year, always try to go to those career fairs either in the fall or the spring your freshman year, just to kind of chat with different companies. Even if you aren't looking, they understand if you're a freshman, you're just kind of new to the process. And it's just so great to go in maybe your next year when you are looking for an internship or co-op to have that experience of just kind of walking up to someone, giving them your 30-second elevator pitch. And it just sets you up for success in the long run. So I'd always say, go to the career fair before you think you're actually looking and just get some experience.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. The second one, we really already talked about how RPI prepares you. So I'm going to skip to the next one. But what qualities and competencies would you look for if you were in the position to hire a graduate from RPI, or if you were just in the position to hire anybody?
I think something really important that stood out and kind of feedback I got from my own interviews I went through, kind of on the other end after I got hired, hearing back from them, it was a lot around just being a well-rounded individual. So a lot of the students, if not all the students that go to RPI, are very high achievers, and you're coming from a really great high school background where you probably got mostly A's and you're not really used to getting anything lower than that. I think it's hard to kind of realize as you're going through, say you get something that's not perfect on a test, you're going to think, oh, this is the end of the world, I'm not going to get that job. But at the end of the day, as long as you're a well-rounded student, you're getting involved in different activities, you're taking leadership positions, you're getting involved in different societies and really putting yourself out there. I just look for someone who's trying to get involved in a whole bunch of different areas. And it's great to, again, focus on your grades, and you do want those awesome scores on tests and getting a great GPA. But at the end of the day, your GPA doesn't make or break you. It's a lot about the connections you've made and the experiences you've kind of gone through during your college experience as well.
So I was actually a recruiter for P&G, and I attended several conferences while I was there. And you would be amazed, like I could have met 100 people in one day. Maybe 5 of them ever asked me for my business card, and only one of them would actually follow up a few days later to just say, hey, it was really nice to meet you. So I think that what we believe that is required to stand out could be something like unachievable. It's actually the really simple things. The fact that you took the time to follow up really shows that you are serious, that you're willing to invest in a relationship with the recruiter. Because like Mackenzie said, if you show up your freshman year and you ask for that card and you do the follow-up, maybe they aren't looking for freshmen that year, but guess what? 6 months later, you say, hey, I just want to see how everything was going in your company. I want to let you know that I'm doing really well in school. I'm taking this class. I really enjoy it. I look forward to seeing you in a future career fair. And a lot of times that is like, that really makes you stand out. So for me, grades were very important. So I'm not going to lie. I actually felt like I had a lot of pressure going in because I was first to go to college from my family. I was on there thanks to the support of financial aid and an assortment of scholarships. So I just felt like I was giving this opportunity and I was not going to throw away my shot, right? But I didn't join as many extracurricular activities because I did want to protect my time for studying and doing really well academically. But I would say that doing those additional things will help you really, really stand out. And it's simple. It's going up to somebody, talking to them, having the conversation, but critical for the follow-up.
Awesome. That's sage advice from both of you. Thank you so much. So the COVID question, we hinted on it before, but just curious to see, I mean, Annabelle, you mentioned mute versus unmute, but any new skills acquired or any, big changes that you had to go through, kind of forced to go through COVID that have kind of made you better?
So I became a homeschool mom, which has been the toughest thing I've ever had to do in my life. Being a teacher is something that's very difficult. So I give even more props to our professors that were always so wonderful and helpful, because sometimes I feel like, didn't we just go over this? But so I think that was definitely different, but the ability to adapt very quickly. So my business started growing last year because I'm online and on e-commerce, and then I lost one of my agencies And I just had to teach myself how to do and how to run Facebook ads, which was something that I hadn't done. And sometimes like it's been 20 years since I left RPI. So sometimes I feel like, man, I don't understand a lot of these like social media platforms or whatever. But I went back to the roots and said, you know what, like you got through some of these classes. I remember when I took computer science, it was like my brain, because it wasn't something that I had studied before. Now everybody goes in with at least some basic kind of programming. But, you know, I was like, you survived that class, you survived some of the thermal classes, you can survive learning how to run Facebook ads. So that's actually my course. So I have a class that I have to attend to after this. It's from 7 to 9. The lady who teaches it is Australian, and that's why it's like it's opposite. It's 10 a.m. for her. But you know, you never stop learning. And the fact that I was able to survive several of the classes and several of the things that are thrown at you at RPI just kind of gives you that confidence that yes, things change through COVID. Yes, there's new skills that you have to acquire, and it doesn't matter. I think personally, 50 years could go by since I finished RPI, and I will still have that same attitude of like, you can just learn it. You don't know it, just learn it. So that's what I want to say about COVID. And I'm so hoping to get back to things the way they were before.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm working from home. So my company is totally virtual, and they just announced we're looking to reopen offices at the beginning of September 2021, if all goes well this year. So super excited. I was lucky to intern again the summer of 2019. So I did have an experience like in the office and kind of know what is out there. So I feel really lucky in that aspect, but they did a really great job onboarding everyone virtually, a lot of Zoom calls throughout the day. And they have things like happy hours and trying to get people together virtually, which is a little different than what it would be in person, but a lot of fun activities. We'll get together and do fun events. We did like a paint and sip virtually. They mailed little like care packages to our house to do that. We did a mocktail night where we made fun mocktails on a Zoom call. So we're always looking for ways to kind of make it feel more normal, and it's just nice to be able to connect in some way to your coworkers. So it is looking different than a normal per se, but still fun and still enjoying it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So I know we do have a hard stop in just about 1 minute, so we won't get to the other questions, but Teresa and I will hang around for any admissions questions. I didn't see anything else come through the chat, but just wanted to drop a quick plug for our social media. We are active on all of the platforms that you see here. The YouTube is actually quite robust with recorded webinars on a rainy day. If you have time, the architecture ones go maybe 2 hours. So if you want to hop onto our YouTube and just learn more about RPI, definitely feel free to do that. But thank you so much, Annabelle and Mackenzie. It was an absolute pleasure to see you. Thanks for sharing your expertise and your story with us. It is always great to see everyone out there in the world doing what they love, and all with the help of RPI. So it was just been an absolute pleasure to have you.
So I just want to say one more thing, and I know that it's like the hard stop is mine, so I apologize. If anybody wants to reach out to me after the after this presentation, I'm putting my email in the chat. So it's annabelle@workly.com. You can reach out to me. And I really wish we would have gotten to the question of the mentor. So I just want to give a shout out to Professor Linda Shadler. And Linda Shadler was amazing. During my first semester, I really struggled with Chemistry of Materials 1, but I was too proud to ask for help. So I just kind of straggled through that class, and then I had to take Chemistry of Materials 2. And she was my professor for that class. And she called me out, and she was like, I want you to come see me because what's going on? And I'm like, I just don't know how to study for this subject. And she gave me like some pointers in this one conversation, and it completely changed everything for me in that class. And I just knew that I wasn't alone. So never feel afraid to go ask for help from any of your professors. And if you can't master a class right off the bat, that's okay too. You'll survive, you'll do better. you'll learn, because it depends on the subject. I mean, mechanical, my inclination was for physics, not for chemistry, but you're gonna have to take a little bit of everything, and definitely reach out to people. They're there to help. They don't want to see you fail. I never had the experience where I had a teacher that wanted to see me fail. I think they all wanted to see you succeed. Take advantage of office hours. It's like free. It's a part of your tuition. They're there to help. That's my final spiel. Thank you so much, ladies, for this opportunity. I love always participating in these kind of events.
Thank you so much. But yes, Teresa and I will just hang on, but feel free to depart. And thank you, Mackenzie and Annabelle, once again. Their emails are here if you need them. We're here if you need us. So feel free to reach out, take that step, and hope to see you all in the fall.